No, I don't think so. Was Squid Game Season 3 really that bad? If you ask the popular opinion, what you might get is, yeah, it was horrible, but this is what I think. I just finished watching Season 3 of Squid Game, and let me just add this in here at the beginning. When Squid Game first came out, I am a very anti-hype person, so I didn't watch it for actually a year or two. Then finally, when Squid Game Season 2 came out, I said, okay, this must be pretty good. Like, people are still consistently talking about it, so I'll give it a chance. And when I watched Season 1 and Season 2, I could not put it down. It was very, very good. I am thoroughly surprised because, holy cow, it is an extremely violent TV show. But regardless, it was really amazing. I think the thing for me with Squid Game Season 1 and 2 that was so amazing was the character development of the main protagonist. Season 1, as a little refresher, you start off with the main protagonist being kind of a deadbeat dad. He's like a gambling addict. He has pretty much nothing to show for. Then what ends up happening is he really wants his life to change, but every one of the games, they're all gambling addicts. He wins the game, and there is some character development there. Now in Season 2, what ends up happening is he realizes, wait, I've won. Now I have all this money. But there is something seriously wrong with the people who organize these games. So now Season 2, he is on a mission. He wants to shut the games down and get answers. And just fair warning, this is spoilers for Season 2 right now. At the end of Season 2, we leave off on a huge cliffhanger. He finds out that one of his best friends is in the game with him. The director of the game kills his friend right in front of him, and that is how we leave off on Season 2, a huge cliffhanger. Now for me, at the beginning of Season 3, I'm going to try to do no spoilers, and then I'll say, hey, this is spoilers for Season 3. But at the beginning of Season 3, what I was hoping for was some major character development still for the main protagonist. But I think the thing that was a little jarring here is that the main protagonist, Song Ji-hoon, is just kind of in limbo for at least like the first 2 or 3 episodes. And to me, that's realistic. That makes sense. As much as me, the viewer, wanted him to like keep on going and keep on fighting, his plan was sabotaged. It did not go well at the end of Season 2. And he's really mourning the death of his friend. What doesn't really make sense to me, though, was throughout the duration of the show, you don't really hear much about his best friend. And my rationalization with this is maybe when he was on his like surefire mission of shutting down the games, he just kind of forgot about his really good friend. He just sort of forgot about like normal life and was very hell-bent on shutting down the games. So to me, it makes sense that he was just kind of in like a stupor for 2 to 3 episodes. And it was a little frustrating to watch, but I think it was realistic. And I think that's the crux of Squid Game Season 3 if people are saying that it wasn't great. My opinion is that it was realistic. Everything that happened was very, very realistic. Song Ji-hoon is supposed to represent faith in humanity, faith in people, and the director is the direct counterpart to that. And in Season 3, without giving any spoilers just yet, in Season 3, we do get some small backstory on the director, and I think maybe he had a similar moment where he wanted to have faith in people, but there was a core breaking point for him where he completely gave up on people and sort of just gave in to the system and how things worked. So yeah, in Season 3, it was tragic. There was a lot of bad stuff. In fact, it was just a tough watch. It was extremely tense. There was a lot of tension, and I think that they did that really, really well in Season 3. It was a really tough watch. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. But then on the other hand, I don't think there was much fan service. I think there were a lot of fans rooting and hoping for this like nice ending that was wrapped up in a cute little bow and like the people we want to win, it all works out. But here it is. Here's the point where there are spoilers. So if you haven't watched Season 3, just click off the video now. While you are watching Season 3, around episode 3 is when Song Ji-hoon like breaks out of his stupor and he sort of wakes up and he sort of, he actually does something pretty horrible. The person who is responsible for his plan in Season 2 to overthrow the games, the person who's responsible for it not working out, Song Ji-hoon actually literally just kills him, which was pretty horrifying. Definitely a moment where you realize like, okay, this guy is just broken. These games have completely broken the people who are contestants in them, no matter how hard like a winner wants to convince themselves like, oh, I'm fine. Like the core of the realism behind this show is that these games are extremely traumatic. So yeah, Song Ji-hoon kills the person who he feels is responsible, who's at fault for his plan to overthrow the games. And pretty much everybody dies. It's really horrible. At one point in season 3, there is this like hide and seek game with knives, and I was on the edge of my seat. There was so many squelching sounds. It was definitely a tough watch. Some of the characters I'm not super familiar with their names because I'm just going to be honest, like I watched it in Korean and like it's just not my first language. So like some of these characters' names, like I'm just not going to remember off the top of my head. I also don't want to butcher them and mispronounce them. But the character who has the, she's pregnant. She gives birth in one of the games, which is like, oh my gosh, this is horrifying. And then the mother-son combo, oh my gosh, they make it so that the son is too scared, which in my opinion doesn't make any sense. The son is too scared to kill anybody, right? And then his last resort is he's gonna literally kill the daughter who just gave birth, which just makes no sense to me. Like, if you were gonna be forced to kill anyone, like, why wouldn't you just do some like random dude you didn't know? But the twist of events is that his own mother ends up killing him. Point being, season 3 was just a big shocker. Really, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And in my opinion, I'm not too unhappy about this. If we're looking for realism, can we really hope for a TV show where you have the most inhumane thing happening on the planet, all for the sake of money and gambling? Like, gambling is a huge theme in the show. Can we really expect an ending or plot points that, like, oh, I'm so happy? And I think in season 1 and 2, like, we did get like some underdog moments and like, oh yeah, I'm really rooting for this character and it works out exactly how I wanted. But at the end of the day, season 3 was just pretty horrible. After that whole scene where the mother gives birth, she decides she just gave up. Like, she literally just jumped off the ledge, and then she entrusts her child to Song Ji-hoon. And then in the final game of season 3, it just ends in this like horrible scenario where all of these men, the only thing they care about is money. And it's very dehumanizing. At the absolute end of the show, you are hoping, okay, maybe Song Ji-hoon and the newborn child will survive, but no, that's not how it works out at all. Song Ji-hoon lets out this quote and he says humans are, he doesn't finish it. I personally had no idea what he meant, and he offs himself. So it's pretty much the worst possible ending that you could possibly get, but in my opinion, it was realistic. Unfortunately, the ending we got is that the character who was supposed to represent faith in humanity, he had a breaking point. He just completely gave up. He was given a choice where he said, okay, if you eliminate all the people while they're sleeping, you and the child can survive. He didn't decide to take that route because he wanted to have faith in people. And then, surprise, surprise, in that last game, he tries to have faith in people and they fail him. And again, I think the reason that people are saying that season 3 is not great is because it's just very realistic. I remember with How I Met Your Mother, the way that show ended, people were not happy about it, and it was a really terrible, crummy ending. But point being is sometimes life is just like that. And especially when you have a show that is literally about like gambling and like uber rich people just like doing whatever they want and betting on humans like they're horses, that is a main theme in the show. Like, the VIP guests could not care at all. Like, they don't see the people and the contestants in the game as humans. They have completely dehumanized them. But here are the valid concerns. With the way that season 3 ended, we have two different points that the show can go off on. Now, from what I've heard, season 3 is the end of Squid Game, but they leave us on two major cliffhangers. The first being that the director gives the newborn child to his brother detective, and then the director also gives all of the leftover money from Song Ji-hoon to his daughter in California. And my hope is that if they are going to explore those plot points, they will do it in a way that it was as good as season 1 and 2. Maybe there can be some redemption arcs because season 3 was rather sour. I don't think it was bad. It was just a sour ending, one that you just wouldn't hope for. And the concern here is, are they just gonna like milk it? You know, are they gonna do all these silly like spin-off TV shows that are crappy and they're just gonna milk Squid Game because now it's a big popular IP that everybody talks about? So my hope is that if they make new shows and they explore those two different plot points that they set up at the end of season 3, they're actually going to handle it with care. Hopefully we get a redemption arc to Song Ji-hoon. Maybe we'll even get some story before the games or something in between. But yeah, that's definitely a concern with like most popular IPs that I have, is that like something is successful and then the same thing is done over and over and over. When they brought back Star Wars through Disney, episode 7 was literally just a rehash of episode 4. And then because, oh, we did the same thing as what worked, then when they make 2 more in a trilogy or make a few more episodes, they don't know what to do, because they don't know how to make anything that is actually good. They just remake something that was successful. So anyways, that's enough about my rant. Personally, I enjoyed season 3. It was a really tough watch. It was extremely tense. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I wouldn't say it was bad. I would just say that it was realistic. And you know what? I'll just say this and I'm done. Maybe the realistic ending is supposed to represent something more, like even in real life, how unfortunately the way things go is that the extremely rich people do just control everything. And they look at the common population, like the other 99%, as just animals like horses. I don't know. That's what I'm leaving the show with. I did enjoy it. I don't think it was as good as season 1 and 2, but also season 1 and 2, I think, like, had a little bit more fan service, and season 3 just didn't have that fan service. What I think would have been really horrible is if that newborn child was killed off. That would have been crossing a line, and people would have been holding pitchforks saying this is horrible. Anyways, on the note of dehumanization and themes of that nature in Squid Game, I think they did a fantastic job, and no, I don't think it was bad.